105.1 New York City Pop and R&B. I got the guy Troy and Rashad from Earn Your Leisure in the building today, which is very exciting for many reasons for me. But first of all, hello and welcome. Can we have one time a real one? You gave him a trash. You gave him a
I appreciate
you
that.
feel like you feel important?
That's good. We need to have that every time.
Feel good and welcome, because when you walked in, everybody was like busy, and I felt
hey,
like they
guys,
what's up?
Sorry. This is dope for us. Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Congrats on everything. Your podcast, I feel like, how long has it been running?
3 years.
3 years.
Oh, it's been 3 years already.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was fast. Like, I feel like whenever there's a subject or something that people need, it connects. Or did it only seem fast to me? It didn't seem fast
I
to
feel
you.
like everybody says that. Like, it happens so fast. But, you know, we've been grinding for probably over 10 years before anybody ever saw the podcast or heard of the show.
Yeah, so but when you first started, did you feel like it was connecting right away, or did you feel like...
Yeah, it was super contagious.
Did you feel like is anybody there? Is anybody listening?
Nah, it went viral soon. So I actually had my own Instagram page before that when I was putting out financial content, because I was a financial advisor. So that content started going viral. And then, so by the time we started Earn Your Leisure, we already had a head start.
Yeah.
So we was in the top 10 podcasts, like within the top.
Out the gate.
Like 11, like episode 11, I think, 12. Right away it was one of these things. It was just perfect timing, but it was just like, just hit the ground running.
It was crazy. Like, when we hit the top 10, people were sending it to us. We were like, was that this charts for podcasts? We didn't even know. We were just putting out the work.
Did you not know about the business so much of it? Or were you, because you're like finance guys, you probably had to know where the money was going to come.
No, not really. We had to learn. You know, we're not communication major. Well, I am a communication major.
Are you? That didn't go well. Well, it actually did go well. It did go well.
Yeah, well, we're not broadcasting, journalist majors. So we didn't know the business of, when it comes to podcasts, how you get finances from. So we had to learn all of that as far as ad revenue, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all of that stuff. But we learned pretty quickly. So we're fast learners. So we figured it out now.
Well, I've been in broadcasting for a very long time.
You don't
But
say.
I just started a podcast. I still don't understand how I'm getting, I'm still trying to learn the podcast.
We'll give you a tutorial.
Yeah,
Can you please?
Absolutely.
Because everybody has a podcast. My mom, my grandmother, my aunt, everybody's going to have a podcast.
They've convinced you.
What is the number one finance revenue advice way to make sure you get your money for anybody who has a podcast?
Well, I think you have to have multiple streams of income when it comes to the podcast. So I'll just go through our business model. So we have YouTube. YouTube is very important, right?
Of course.
So you have ads. And the good thing with the podcast is that you can get paid off the same content. So I say that to say, like, YouTube is one way to get paid, but then you get paid on the audio side as well, with Apple and Spotify, even though it's the same content. It's just one is a visual experience, one is an audio experience. So that's like the low-hanging fruit. That's obvious ways to get paid. But for us, it's about expanding our brand and doing a variety of different things. So merch is real big for us. Live events. We just did an Invest Fest. We had 13,000 people in Atlanta. So obviously
Can you please invite me to the next one?
Oh, definitely.
I felt sad. I felt sad watching y'all on
That's too
Instagram.
easy.
I felt like,
100%. You're 100%
I really
invited.
wanted to. I was watching it like, why didn't I get invited to? I felt like FOMO a little bit when I saw it.
Now I feel the way.
Definitely invited. So we have a subscription-based model called Eyo University. So that's 10,000 members in there.
Dope.
So, that's big for us. Patreon, that's cool. You can make some money on that as well. So for us, it's about having the ear of the people. And then once you have the ear of the people, like Dame told us, like, he's like, I do my movies and I wear my clothes and I smoke the weed that I sell. And all of that is like a commercial. So he was telling us, like, the movies is like a commercial for all his products. So it's similar to the podcast. I look at the podcast like the easy way is to get paid from YouTube, Apple, Spotify. But then, when you go deeper, then you have to promote whatever you have going on, whether it's live events, whether it's, subscription-based model, whether it's merch, whether it's collaborations that, other people, stuff like that. So that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah.
The thing that people miss sometimes, though, is like, you have to have, like you said, the people's ear first.
Yeah.
Because people be trying to have all the marketing things, but what are you offering people? Like, what is the thing that people connect to, that people like you said, you have to have people's ear. You have to be offering them something for them to come around and want to buy your merch.
I think that's why it became successful. It's like we never thought like we're gonna make money from it. It was just like, we having some information. These are kind of conversations that we always have amongst each other, and so it was just like, let's just add value to the space. Like let's just figure out what people need to know. Let's just put it out there. And it really started for him. Like, he was just like, he wanted to be like a superstar in the financial world. So it was like, all right, let's just support it. He asked me, let's do a podcast. I'm thinking, all right, cool, I'm teaching. All right, well, I'll do that on the side too.
Yeah.
And so it started.
But you weren't into finance, was not your thing.
Yeah, my
right?
background's in education. Like, I was a teacher in New York City for like 10
God
years.
bless you. I mean, God bless you, really. Like,
Seriously, right?
no, really.
Yeah, but I mean, that inspired me because, right, I realized what wasn't being taught, and it gave me the initiative to say, all right, well, we could teach this because nobody's doing that. So, like, financial literacy was one of those topics. Like, I was teaching it in the summer. I had a program. I'm like, yo, you should come in and talk to the kids. This would be great. And he was like,
And you were also probably
so as I'm writing the
yeah.
lessons, but he's teaching them, but he's giving more information that I actually put in the lessons. So like now I'm learning from him about finance. He's learning like the structure of a classroom, how to have classroom management, you know, how to create a lesson plan. And so it was
a good team. Look at that.
It balanced out pretty nicely.
But the interesting thing is, so you're a teacher, you're in finance. I mean, you want to be a superstar in finance. You clearly have marketing skills and goals and things like that. But you weren't necessarily like, now you're like celebrities.
Quasi.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
No, now you're public figures.
Yeah, for sure.
That
for
takes,
sure.
I'm sure, a little bit of a. How are you dealing with that? Is there some adjustment in that? Do you enjoy it? I feel like you like it.
What gives
that impression?
I feel like you were like, I'll take it. I can manage. I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool. I mean,
Is that right? Tell me if that's wrong, my assessment.
Nah, for sure. I mean, well, it's like Big Sean said. He said, what he say? He's like, I'm gonna tell you, it's everything that I expected. Like, because I really thought that I was gonna be a celebrity financial. It sounds, at the time, it sounds crazy, but I saw the value in Instagram, and I always give Val her props. We had a friend that was a teacher. We have a friend that was a teacher in Baltimore, and she became really, really famous on Shade Room and all of that. She's like a celebrity teacher. So I realized that previously, only way to become a celebrity was to be a musician or an athlete. But I saw Instagram, you could be a celebrity chef. You could be a celebrity teacher. So I'm like, you could even be a celebrity financial advisor. At the time, it sounds crazy, but I'm like, I devised a whole plan where I'm like, I'm going to be a celebrity financial advisor. I'm going to give talks all over the world. I'm going to write books. I'm going to do seminars. I'm a whole vibe. So I say that to say, this is kind of really what I thought.
You really saw it.
It sounds
basically.
like it. It's interesting. Like our personalities, is like they balance each other. So like in like a public setting, like he's very reserved, very quiet. And I'm like the life of the party, in everybody. Like I'm walking around, I'm moving, I'm shaking. And on Instagram, it's like, nah, this is a different beast out there. And I'm more like, yo, I'm kind of cool on that. Like, I like living in this real world space right here.
It's a good combo.
Yeah, it works.
You're a good team.
It works.
It works.
But does anything surprise you about this life? Because now you're like, you're doing interviews, you're doing press, you have this big following. I mean, is that because people running up to you like in places all over the place?
I think the most interesting thing is like the channels that people will reach out to try to get to us. Like people will hit my wife's DM to find out something about him, or like they'll see my kids walking down the street, like that's them, the family's right there. I see them. It's like wait, it's like I'm like super protective over it because I'm like wait, they didn't really ask for this, and so like I'm still trying to balance that. Like yo, there's a part that like we have to do, and there's the part that's still the family part. It's like yo, they still have to grow up in this world.
Are you do you have like a go-to thing, like so when you meet like fans or people recognize you, is because I'm sure everybody's like, yo, what do I give me some
pictures?
Give me some financial advice on the spot. I know you're eating dinner. I'm sorry to bother you during dinner, but can you give me some financial advice real quick?
They pull out their portfolio a lot.
No, they don't.
All the time.
Shut up.
No, all the time. All the
You know
time.
what's so crazy?
That's
I was in the club. I was in the club the other day. We was in the club the other day, and security, big dude. He was like a bouncer, like real big dude. And then he was just kind of like just in the club. And then out of nowhere, he's like, yo, what you think about VO? He started going through the whole thing. I'm like, but honestly, I never get discouraged. I actually love it because it's so dope and so encouraging to see people that you never in a million years would be interested in stocks and crypto and real estate and from all walks of life, like street dudes, people that's in college, people that's in jail. Like it's just really, really encouraging that so many people are enthusiastic about financial literacy. Like I said, it's not like we're rappers or we're athletes, but people, they're starting to treat us just like that. So I think it's really, really dope.
Yeah, it's super encouraging. Think about how encouraging that is, right? We're in Dykeman, we in Brooklyn. People are walking up with their portfolios and showing us how much money they're making.
Unbelievable.
Like what? Like think about it. We from New York. Like
it's
what?
Crazy.
This dude showed
where normally people are so protective.
Like
of their
this dude showed me he
information.
made $125,000.
Doing what?
He was trading. He was like, listen, I listened to your advice for the past 6 months. I've been trading. We're actually giving out free turkeys, right? In Dykeman. And I'm like, that's incredible, man. Like, wow, 125. Like he's most money I've ever seen. I'm like, that's incredible. Like
he said that was the most money he ever seen.
Yeah,
I love that.
10 minutes later, I'm giving him a free turkey. He's like, yo, still got to eat though, bro. I'm like, that's New York.
Can't turn down free turkey.
Y'all got to eat, bro.
I love that. I mean, that's so great. Do you ever worry about like giving people bad advice?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely got to be careful of what you say because people
because you're playing with people's money.
They'll do whatever you tell them to do. So
that's what I'm saying.
It's a responsibility that you have to take. So even whenever we give advice, we don't really tell people what to do. We just provide the information and then, let them kind of make the decision on themselves. So we'll never say buy Apple at this price. We'll just break down the company and then from there you can make a decision whether you want to buy it or not. But we try to always be conservative. So we'll tell people investing is a long-term game. Hold it for 20 years, different things of that nature because we don't want to get people in the mindset of gambling. A lot of times you get, it's just buy Dogecoin right now. And then that's how you lose money because it's not educated. It's just you're just in your emotions trying to flip. And that's like going to Vegas. So we try to stay away from that.
Do you go to Vegas? Do you guys gamble at all?
No, I
just learned how to play craps. I don't know how to play anything. No
I just
card
wonder
games.
because it's such it's like the opposite of what you probably
I don't gamble. I was never big on gambling. I don't have the stomach for it. I don't like it.
It's humbling.
Yeah, I don't like
We've seen
money.
people be humbled before.
I don't like losing money.
I enjoy a blackjack or a poker table, but I approach it whatever I would spend on a good night out is what I will spend gambling. So that if I lose it, I had a good time.
You can afford. You can afford.
I can afford what I've spent.
You come in with a plan.
I come in with a plan.
It is.
And then usually, if I more than double it, I leave.
That's a developed plan.
It's a develop. Do I sound like a compulsive?
I'm like, no. I'm just saying, I'm sure there's a few times you're like, yo, I done tripled up.
Because you keep going, you're like, yo, I got 5 times the money, and then all of a sudden you lose everything. You're like, damn, why didn't I get up? Because the odds, if you look, anyway, whatever.
Well, that's a responsible way to go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people.
I believe in responsible gambling.
They go to the far extreme. And
I know. I have people in my family that do that. It's a sad situation.
We have a few friends where
if you have a problem, call 1-800.
Please now. This is not financial advice. Yeah, they gamble and it's like, wait, after they lose it all, it's like, yo, I know you got it, man. Let me borrow something.
But is it trading and I mean, there's some parts of the
it could be synonymous with gambling though, especially trading, the rush, the adrenaline that you get. So that's why you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Because it can be very synonymous with gambling. So that's why we tell people be responsible, take emotion out of it. Investing, you should not have emotion when you're investing. That causes problems.
Got it.
Same thing with gambling, right? If you know something is bad, but you convince yourself, I'm gonna double down on this. This quarterback gotta perform good this week, and then he breaks his leg. The same thing happens with the stocks. It's oh, this stock, Facebook went down. I really believe in the company. And you start convincing yourself you're Mark Zuckerberg, you're gonna make this stock. Nobody's stronger than the market. Mm-hmm. So can't be emotional. Yeah. You can't be in love with any investment. You got to take emotion out of it. You got to be
those are two
very,
things.
Very, very composed when you're investing.
No emotion and no loyalty to a company, right? Because, like I said, you can be an owner of it when you buy shares of it, but there's no loyalty to it because it's like you said. I think Netflix, it could be a great stock, right? I might convince myself Netflix is great. I watch it all the time, right? If you look at the chart, it'll tell you something different. If you read the news, if you read what's happening inside the business and the structure of it and its balance sheet, you realize it's a lot different. Mm-hmm. So we just have no loyalty to it and have no emotions and take hope out of it.
That sounds like terrible relationship advice. No loyalty.
Right.
Be
out of yourself. It's all about you.
That's it. Yeah, it's your brokerage account. It's your money.
Yeah. Not good for relationships, but good for investing.
I'm sure you hear, and everybody's always looking for a quick fix. What is the quick? How do I get rich quick? Now, especially with Instagram era and everybody. So, Black China. Do you believe Black China made $20 million?
I thought it was 50.
I saw that $20 million
a month.
Well,
they said $20 million a month.
That's legendary. Yeah. That's legendary.
Is that
you never know, man. Sometimes you see these numbers and it's hard. Shout out to Black China. It's hard to really.
How many followers she got on Instagram?
Yeah,
I know it's on OnlyFans. So if she's charging $29 and she has 1 million people subscribe,
we really need to do the math on this because I want to know about the business.
It depends. I'm sure she has tiers. I'm
sure a lot of people.
Wow, you know a lot about this.
No. I preface it by saying I'm not on OnlyFans, but man. I've heard
the tiers.
I've heard there's some tiers
and price.
Tiers.
Tears.
Because $20 million a month.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money. That's more than NBA players like that. I don't know. 20 million. Sometimes numbers just. I need to see a little bit of proof before I can actually say that.
By the way,
true
if it's $2 million a month.
No. People making money.
Still $24 million. Is that 24? Yeah, $24 million a year.
No, that's just fact. It's just a big difference from $240 million a year though.
Did she put on what's her name in court?
Who?
For money. Rob.
Yeah, and she said she made $1 million a year, but that's the court. That's what you tell the court.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference. If it's 20 million, let's say 2 million, somebody comes up, because this happens to all of us. This is probably why you started your whole career, is that we don't have the same information. We don't learn what to do with our money until it's
too late.
Either too late or just, some people never in their whole life. It never happens.
Or they never have money. That's
you don't have money. Or when you get money, you go to jail because you didn't pay your taxes, or you blow it in the first couple of years buying.
It's on the job training. Like even for us, and we're educated, and to start a business, to scale a business to 7-8 figures in a very short period of time, most people would think that that's a blessing, and it is. But it's tremendously difficult because you have to do things that you've never been accustomed to do, like hiring people. Just the hiring process is extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. Like you got to hire people, you got to have benefits in place, then you got to worry about payroll. Like we get like 30 pieces of mail every single day, like workers' comp, all of that. Then you got HR. So these are systems that you have in place. Then we even talk about taxes yet. So it's like you can have a good year. People think, if you make $1 million, that's a lot of money. But it's like, not really, because if you buy a house, let's say you give your mom some money, whatever, like you could be down to like $200,000 by the end of the year. You thinking, okay, I still saved $200,000, but your tax bill might be $500,000. Now you don't have it. Now you're actually
in the hole.
In the hole. So that happens all the time, and you can see how that happens once you start to get in that spot. You're like, okay, I can understand it. Sometimes you can't really understand things until you actually go through them. So like we always criticize celebrities and athletes, like how did they go broke? How did they make that much money and go broke? But now when you actually are in that position, you have a little bit more sympathy because you can understand, especially if somebody's uneducated, how they can, make a lot of mistakes. And
also, you don't have to be rich. You can make your first $1,000 or $100 or whatever it is, your first check. I mean, when you're young, when you're your first job and you start getting it's just about, I'm sure the rules could apply whether you're Black China.
Yeah, that was the root. That was the absolute root of why we started it.
Yeah.
The program that we had, I was paying the kids. And so it was like, wait, if I don't teach them anything about finance or teach them about the principle of money, I know what they're going to do. They're going to spend it.
Yeah.
Right? So let's teach them how to save. Let's teach them how to share. Let's teach them how to invest. And let's teach them how to, if they're going to spend it, let's spend it.
Yeah.
But let's make sure that we allocated the appropriate amount. And so like once we knew that, it was like, all right, well, these kids need it, but adults need it too. Right? There's no age to this, right? Like the 14-year-old might know more than his parents.
Yeah.
Right? That 34-year-old might not know as much as the 50-year-old. Like there's really no age limit to the knowledge. It's about when you get it and how you execute on it.
Isn't it crazy that the schools, like, I look at my kids who are 18 and 16, and I'm like, they have yet to take a class that has taught them anything about tax. Just paying taxes. How about forget about financial, but just taxes alone.
Something that we're all going to do.
Yeah.
Everybody in this country is going to have to do that. Why do we not teach our kids that? Why do we not? Is that not part of like school? Yeah. You were a school teacher. So we need answers.
When you're in the system, you realize how dysfunctional it is. And it's maybe it's not dysfunctional. It's actually working in the way it's supposed to, right? It's based off the Industrial Revolution, right? So like when we were in the Industrial Revolution, we had to have jobs, right? So how do we get people to work? Well, we got to figure out a system to make them work. We create schools, right? Same thing as a union job in a sense, where it's like everybody go to the same place. Bell rings, everybody goes to where they need to go. Bell rings, they move to the next thing. Oh, bell rings, lunch break. Everybody goes to the cafeteria. Bell rings, it's time to go home. Same thing. Like when he came to my school, he saw in the Bronx, it was like, yo, there's bars, there's metal detectors. I'm like, yo, this feels like a fact. This is crazy, right? Yeah. And so what does it produce? It never produces entrepreneurs. It produces people who go to college, find a job. If you find a job, that means you're going to be working for somebody. That means you're going to be an employee. Nothing wrong with it. I did that, right? There's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but that's what that system perpetuates, right? So if we keep sending kids to school, never teaching them about money, the chances are they're going to be employed.
Somebody gave me a list of your your top 10 episodes.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Do you know these?
Somebody who made that list? Complex?
My thorough investigative team.
Somebody in this room.
Make a fortune turning credit into cash. What is the main takeaway from that episode?
How to leverage your credit and how to use credit cards responsibly. A lot of times people look at credit cards and it's like, oh, I'm never going to use a credit card. Like, that's bad. Like, stay away, cash only. Even growing up, right? Cash was everything around me. Like, that's how we was taught. But really, it's credit. is more important than cash. So that's really teaches you everything you need to know about credit, but more importantly, how to leverage your credit, like how to leverage business credit, how to use credit to go shopping because you have reward points, so you can take vacations.
I love points.
Yeah,
points are great, and which cards to get, right? So most people won't realize which cards have the best benefits. That episode covers a lot, and what he said about leveraging credit. A lot of us, we don't realize how many people even carry cash anymore. Usually we carry a debit card or a credit card, and so. That's why that episode is like 1.7 million views or something like that. It's super important. Yeah, we know the analytics. We know. We got a research team.
You got a research team too. How to purchase a car in your business name.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
I believe I didn't see the whole episode, but I saw clips of this. But go ahead, tell me.
That's Miss Business. She's from Brooklyn. Shout out to Miss Business.
Our CPA.
She's our CPA, and she So actually, we actually had to go through that ourselves. So when we purchased our cars, we did it in our company's name. And once again, that goes back to being educated, right? Like we listen to rap and you see if you lease a car, you fronting and, pink slips and all of this stuff that these rappers talk about. But really, it's really a better way to go about it as far as like buying it correctly, leasing it, having it in the company's name, using it as a write-off, having a deduction, all that stuff. So that's the process that we had to go through as far as, co-signing it because the business wasn't old enough to actually put it in the business name yet. So we had to use our own personal credit and put our personal names on it. But that really explains, and that's something we talked about, the 6,000 pound rule. If you have a vehicle over 6,000 pounds, you can get a full deduction. I think they might have changed it this year.
They changed it?
I'm not sure.
They're phasing it out.
Oh, okay.
They're phasing it out. So that goes back to the SUVs and the bigger vehicles.
Exactly.
We just came here in a Sprinter. We purchased 2 Sprinters at the end of last year because we needed a tax deduction. So both of those Sprinters was 100% write-offs for us. So that's like almost $250,000 that we got to take.
A lot of G-Wagons are out there because of us.
I know that's why when you said that I was like, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah, but even a Sprinter now becomes a business, right? So we use it for hey, we can use this as a tax benefit, but it becomes a business now that we can hire somebody that can drive. And when we're here in New York or we're in Atlanta, we have transportation. But when we're not here, number one, it transports the merchandise for our vending machines that are in our old high school. So now we have another business that it goes to, and now we can rent it for people to go to the airport and use for their own leisure. So like a tax benefit now turned into 2 different businesses. And
did you say 100% write-off on that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's why we got it. We needed some write-offs at the end of the year, so we got some.
I'm getting a Sprinter tomorrow.
We know some people.
You know some people? I bet you do. I'm not doing anything. I'm not spending $1 without calling you guys.
We'll show you guys downstairs.
Bank of America's no down payment program for minority communities.
Yeah,
that's definitely
us. That's. You heard about that?
Yes, but please, you know better than me.
So that's a new program that Bank of America rolled out, and it's in certain areas, not every area, certain communities, and it's designed to help first-time home buyers. Obviously, that don't have a lot of money, so it's a way to buy a home without actually putting down any money. They have programs similar to that called NACA, which a lot of people are familiar with. So it's no down payment, no closing costs, no fees. So yeah, I mean that's something that's beneficial if you're looking to buy a home.
Some fees, just not closing costs, minimal. Yeah, appraisal fees you still have to pay, attorney fees you still might have to pay, but the big fees like the closing costs and down payment, which stops people from even getting homes, those are taken care of. And there's like a whole process too. Like you got to take a few tests,
a course, you got to take that course,
a couple things you got to take.
I know you were in finance and he kind of got to get on board. Are you ever like surprised at how far he's come?
Nah, he's a teacher, so
I know he's a teacher, but sometimes learner. He puts you on to something that you're like, oh shoot,
right. For sure, definitely. Yeah. He's a fast learner, so he's one of these people that's like studies all the time. Like he studies everything. So he reads all the time.
I have to.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like this is for a while it was new to me, right? And then like I have to catch up. So it's like I don't have time to waste. Like every morning before I would go to school, I would read like every financial publication I could, just to catch up on what's happening, and then find like pieces of information that I thought our audience would gravitate toward. And so like I know that you're probably not going to read Seeking Alpha and Wall Street Journal and CNBC every morning. You're not going to do that. But let me just find the pieces that I think you might find interesting, and then like every morning, like clockwork, I send him like and then whatever he thought that would like people would gravitate toward on himself, we put it up on Instagram. So like that became the system for us. And like while I was reading them, I'm learning every single day.
That is amazing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
he's researching.
Clearly amazed. Like this team.
It's teamwork makes the dream work.
How did you meet again?
We actually met. I was in middle school. I was in 6th grade. He was in 8th grade. So this movie, Eddie. Remember Eddie? Whoopi Goldberg?
She was like the coach of the Knicks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met on that.
So we met on that. So it was a group of kids from my neighborhood that was going. We was going to be extras in the movie. So they took us to Madison Square Garden, and we was in the movie.
Can we find you now?
No.
It never actually made the movie.
They used us to like
damn,
have
they
the
did you dirty?
audience reaction. So like we were playing on the court, and the fans would like, they were like,
we got paid
Then
though.
they cut you out.
the first time I got paid in my life.
Yeah. So long story short,
What'd they pay you?
it was like
I think like $141.
something like that.
Did you
yeah.
invest it? No.
Nah. I was trying to buy some pennies or something, like J's or something.
But yeah, that was the first time that I actually met him, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
It's crazy because we lived in the same complex.
So yeah, I was in 6th grade. He was in 8th grade. He's a little older than me, and
So this was meant. This was
Yeah.
meant to happen.
People ask like, yo, what's the formula? I'm like, all right, here's what you do. Find a friend and talk to them for 25 years every day, not like consistently.
Yeah.
And like, that's how you can get that type of chemistry. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, we do this, like I said, these are conversations we always had. It's just that the world's hearing them now.
Yeah, it's part of your magic too. Is that number one? Yes, you studied finance, you became this finance person, but then also that somebody who did not do that could also, just with access and the want to, can become. You know what I mean?
That's
Can
the
be
biggest
as
thing.
educated
Yeah.
as
That's the
you
thing.
are.
Like,
at
we
it.
see
Like
it every day. So
self-educated,
like,
yeah.
it's like the person who had no idea how to trade that now makes 125. That's like, wait, I didn't even know I could do this until like there was information and you saw people that looked like you doing it and giving information that you could understand. Because for so long it was like the information was way over. It felt like it was over our heads. It was like a foreign language, right? Like, so we talk about financial literacy, but most people aren't financially fluent. They don't even understand the language. And so like we came in and was like, okay. And now it's encouraging because like, all right, I could do it. In fact, once I do it, now let me go tell somebody else. Like now that changes like the barbershop conversation. It changes the household conversation.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in the barbershop with you two guys.
It's different.
Getting a cut.
Yeah.
No, it's different. It's different.
That might be a spinoff to your show. By the way.
But we democratized education, so
Yeah.
we made it, where the sanitation worker, the correctional officer, whoever, like blue collar people, like I said, you'd be surprised. We have a huge following in jail. The jails is tapped in crazy. Like
Love that.
so many people in jail is day trading.
Well, there's a lot of people in jail who got to jail because they were broke and were trying to figure out how to not be broke quickly.
Yeah, penitentiary chances.
Right.
They had
And
an entrepreneurial spirit. They just went about it the wrong way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That's what I mean. So it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me that much. And
Yeah.
also they have time.
A lot of time.
Yes.
Just
I
like
mean,
people
what-
did during the pandemic. A lot of time.
It's the best way to be, to use that time. If you're inside, might as well educate yourself or something so you get out and have a better chance at
That's the story of our brother, Wall Street Trapper.
Yeah.
You heard of him?
Uh-uh.
Another guy we can put you on.
Yeah, put me on. We need to
Yeah.
could I please could we have
How'd you find out
information?
about us?
I'm gonna say it was probably Charlemagne.
Charlemagne.
Yeah, Charlemagne
Shout out to
probably
that
put
one.
us
Shout out
on.
to Charlemagne.
Yeah.
Put us on.
Shout out
And
to
then
Charlemagne.
Arande watches
Shout
all
out
the
to
time.
OG.
Yeah.
OG.
So Arande will
OG.
watch your episode, and then I get the cliff notes.
Okay.
That's how I learned about the G-Wagon and
Okay.
getting that tax
Perfect.
write-off on that because he watched the episode.
He's like,
and
yo,
he gives
let me
me
tell
the
you
cliff
something.
notes.
Da-da-da-da.
So
Yeah.
find you a partner who lives in your house with you. That if you don't have
key.
time for the podcast, find you somebody that will watch and listen to the podcast and then give you the notes.
That's key. Did he tell you the story? The first time we spoke to him, I'm like, yo, I got to tell you the story.
What?
He didn't tell it to you?
No, he didn't.
So I was like, look, man, we've been listening to Angie our whole lives. Like,
Aw.
no, this is serious. Like, everybody, silence on the set.
Very serious. Quiet, everyone. Quiet
No, like
down.
literally listening to you every day. Like, I was the kid that was calling up during Battle of the Beats.
Oh.
Like, seriously, every night. Like, calling up. I remember, like, Method Man winning. Remember you had to win 5 nights in a row?
Yeah, and then you get retired.
And then you get retired. So
Yeah.
Method, I remember him getting retired. I remember Brooklyn Zoo getting retired. I remember Shook Ones getting retired. And
I
then,
love that.
and then I remember Smooth the Hustler getting retired. And then
I
you
love that
you
Smooth
came
the
back
Hustler.
with the retired songs competing against each other. So I'm like, yo, I just had to tell. I'm like, yo, I gotta
Yo,
tell her
that's
that.
pretty good, man. I
Yeah.
forgot about that part.
Oh, it was incredible.
Battle of the Beats.
Battle of the Beats.
Legendary.
Super
Yeah.
legendary.
Legend.
You young kids will never know.
Yeah.
Nelly Hot in Here. I never forget I put Nelly Hot in Here in the Battle of the Beats. It lost on the first night. And I
Wow.
remember getting back on the radio like a couple months later and be like, y'all don't know. See, sometimes y'all be wrong. Because that song was a smash.
She was up here when Snoop came through and crushed the building. Then Big called.
Yeah,
It was like,
big call.
You got
yeah.
it. I mean,
Legendary.
All
That's why I said this
stories.
moment is
Legendary.
legendary.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, man.
Means a lot
Yeah.
for us, for
Thank
sure.
you, man. For me too, and I love that you're from here, and you know that because not everybody, you know what I mean. You have to be here. You can't.
You gotta
can't
know
know
that.
that. Like Battle of the Beats, and you had to have been here
Every
to
night,
be able to
every
connect
night.
with that. This episode is interesting to me, and I'm going to go back and watch all these fully. I'm not just going to get the Arande notes anymore. I want to apologize for living on just the little cheat notes that I've been getting from you guys' talks. How to make a fortune on Airbnb.
Yeah.
You guys do Airbnb?
We haven't done Airbnb yet, but that's a really big episode. And shout out to Alexia. She's a young lady out of Atlanta. We interviewed her. That episode went crazy. And Airbnb's had a lot of challenges since then.
I know.
Like, especially in Atlanta and Boston, Miami, New York too, I think. Like, it's been the hotel lobby's real strong. So once they saw Airbnb was a major threat, they've been really going hard. Yeah. So
not the literal lobby, like lobbyists.
Yes.
Yeah. For those in the know.
But the Airbnb
also the hotel lobby is also serious.
But she dropped a lot of gems in that episode, like how to like really become more efficient with your Airbnb business. Like she said she never rents Airbnb to anybody in the city. She lives in Atlanta. And I'm like, wow. She's like, because if you live in Atlanta and you get my Airbnb, you coming to just party. Or you coming to like cheat on your wife. I said, like it's something that's not kosher. So it's little stuff like that I never thought about. I'm like, that actually makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? So, there's experiences with Airbnb. So there's like a tree house. There's like one of the most profitable Airbnbs is a tree house. I think it's in
Georgia.
Oh, it's in Georgia.
It's a real tree house.
They have them like out like in Bali or like in places like that.
Yeah, it's in Georgia. It's a real tree house. So, and then like they have gaming rooms for Airbnb. So a lot of times people look at Airbnb like the experiences in Airbnbs is really dope. So Airbnb is definitely something I think is going to be here. Just having a little turbulence.
They can't figure it out. Yeah, and the efficiency, like you said, like her systems of she used to hire cleaning companies to clean her Airbnbs after until she realized, wait, why have that expense? Why not just create my own cleaning company? And so now she cuts the expense and creates another business.
So smart.
Yeah. She's a smart young lady. Yeah.
So
like under 25 too.
That was a dope episode.
She's incredible.
Yeah. Wow. That one you said was a dope episode?
Yeah.
Do you have favorites?
Yeah, of course. It means a lot to me. Like Chris Gotti, because I think he's one of the best storytellers that I've ever heard.
Yeah, of course. All the Gottis can tell a story.
We've heard.
So his episode was so prolific because he was telling these stories about how Jay Prince almost killed him and how he ran down on Suge Knight. And it felt like, and we just big fans of that era. So I felt like I was just in there, like a 3D motion picture like experience. And he actually gave a lot of good information as well. He's very smart. So he was talking about like, the music business, and then he was a millionaire in construction. So he's talking about the construction business. He was talking about a lot of different stuff. And so to me, that was like a very, very good episode that I still think is like one of my favorites.
And we still have a relationship with them too. So shout out to Gotti. Shout out to all of them. But my favorite is all the Gottis.
We don't know Irv.
Chris Gotti put me on my first private plane.
Oh wow. Yeah?
My first private, and I was way deep into my career.
Were y'all going to Vegas?
I didn't even think I told him because I think by then I should have had that experience at some point in my life. He was in Vegas. He was managing Phil Ivey, I think.
I was just going to say that. I just want to say, were y'all going to Vegas?
Now, this is really making me sound like a real gambler, this episode. So the time I was gambling with Phil Ivey, I would never gamble like Phil Ivey. He gambles.
Phil Ivey's a legend.
No, he's different.
No, I sat there like a fan watching him in the casino, and he's like, $500,000 waiting. What? Everybody's standing around sweating, and he makes $1 million, and I'm like, leave, go out of here, get out of here, take your money. He sits there for hours, 100,000, 200,000. Anyway, so they were leaving, they were coming back into New York, and Chris was like, you going back to New York? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, we have room on the plane if you want to ride with us. I was like, okay, sure, no problem.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll go. But it was my first time, and so then I get on the plane, and I told you I like to gamble and play cards, right? Phil says, you want to play cards? So I got to gamble against Phil Ivey playing spades.
How was it?
So we play spades.
What type of hands are we doing?
Did he take it easy on you?
First of all, watch your mouth. I don't like the assumptions that you're making right now. So then he says, so I'm way up. He goes blind 10. It's the only way to survive. I'm already cashed out. Phil has his money. He goes 10 blind. And he wins on a 10. You play spades?
No, I'm just.
Oh, so you don't even know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we don't play cards.
You don't gamble. You don't play spades.
Yeah, we're the only black.
We gotta lighten up, guys.
Yeah.
We gotta live a little
we
bit,
don't got
guys.
no vices like that.
Anyway, it's outrageous. It's like putting all your money in what's the most crazy stock that goes up and down? It's like putting all your money in Tesla.
Damn. You think he hustled you to that moment? Like,
no, I think he just has like a weird card gift. So I felt almost like there was like a bruja. Like he has like a.
like
it almost made me like.
Aha.
It's like the Michael Jordan of poker.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like. Yeah, he might have. I don't know.
He is definitely Michael Jordan.
Anyway, so I lost, which sucked, but I still got.
I would have never thought that you would have lost that. That's interesting.
I wouldn't have thought it either. I would have never thought that, but he is a professional card
What's the
player.
odds of playing against the best
Yeah.
ever and losing?
You know the story I would have been. I could have said I was on a
Legend,
private
that's
jet. I
legend.
beat Phil Ivey in cards
That's
on the plane.
legend.
Like,
That's where
come
we were
on,
going
that's
with
how
this.
the story was supposed to end.
That's
Until he
legend.
said that blind 10
That's like beating Serena Williams in tennis.
when I'm playing with the left.
After a few drinks
Yeah.
on roller skates. They just keep adding it. But anyway, shout out to Chris Gotti.
That's a fact.
Shout
Oh,
out to
so
Chris.
then that was a great episode. I think my favorite episode is number 11 with my brother Derek Falcon,
Shout out to Derek.
who was a restaurateur from Baltimore, who just came in like street dude who started a restaurant business in Baltimore, but just came and was so transparent. Like he literally changed how we were doing the show. Like originally it was me and Rashad doing shows and we were talking about the business behind sports and entertainment and different deals. And then he came in with his business and it was just like, oh wow, this guy's different. He's authentic, he's raw, but he's giving so much information. He's so knowledgeable. We're like, all right, this is gonna be the new format for the show. So I always got to give credit to him as my favorite.
That's dope. And the one where you talk about President Biden doing the
Student
loan forgiveness. Yeah.
That was big.
I mean, this is important right now. So
Yeah.
I'm
That
sure I
was-
could
that
see.
was-
I'm not surprised that was big. What was the number one takeaway from that, or that you think people should know about that?
Well, I mean, I think it was more controversial than anything because, a lot of people surprisingly was kind of mad about that.
Why?
They're like, I don't want to pay for somebody else's college and it's going to come back on my taxes. And, so we actually just interviewed Stacey Abrams today and we asked her about it. So then some people were saying that it wasn't enough. They should have did more.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was one of these things.
It's a politically charged
Yeah,
subject
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And the timing of it made sense. Like we even said this in January, like that was one of the campaign promises, but we haven't heard anything about it. Well, what's happening in 2 months? Oh, midterm elections are come. Oh, we need some type of news. So they do it at the very end of August. And it was like, all right, well, we said we were going to do it. We execute on our promise. And so it helps. But like you said, like some people are going to look at it like, yo, that's life changing. And it's going to help. I think one of the issues is that it's going to help predominantly people of color, right? So like when you can get 10,000 forgiven or 20,000 if you have a Pell Grant, well, who gets Pell Grants? Families that make under $50,000, right? A lot of the people that make under $50,000 look like us. And so we got a lot of the funding, so we are eligible for the 20,000. There's another side that says, I paid for college, right? I had it, but you don't know the circumstances of the people who had to have the Pell Grant. So it's divisive, but anytime you can help people, I'm all for it.
I was going to say.
I have student loans. So
I was going to say, by the way, here's another. She said what? She said out loud, what?
Yeah.
You have student loans?
I could. Here's the thing. So I could pay it off, but I was waiting to see what the administration was going to do. And so like there's a part of that was part of it, and the other part is that I worked in the city for 10 years, so I have public service loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
And so once you work for 10 years and you make 120 payments, you're eligible for forgiveness. But during the Trump administration, there was so many fine lines that you had to even qualify for it. So I applied and I got denied. And then Biden came and he changed some of the stipulations about the income repayment part of it. And so now I do qualify. And so that's why I didn't pay yet, to the shocking surprise of the audience.
She said what? Out loud. She's dealing with student loans
You
too.
owe money?
By the way, you know who still has a student loan? Tell me if I'm handling this right.
Okay.
Because you know who still has a student loan?
Who's that?
Me.
Oh, yeah?
You know who didn't go to college? Me.
No, you're
a co-signer.
Oh, co-signer?
Come on, we know that.
Who'd you co-sign
I mean,
for?
I get, just for clarity, if my mom's watching, I went to community college for like half a year.
Yo,
I went to Broad
that was a big laugh. Wow, yo,
case my
there's
mom-
no judgment in this
I don't
room.
want to say I never went to college. Shut up, M.
This is
Shout
a
out
hall
to
of
BMCC.
this is a hall of
BMCC.
famer here, y'all.
Anyway.
Yes.
So I have student loans, right? Because I was young. I always tell my kids, don't ever co-sign for your friends on anything. I made the mistake of co-signing for a friend who was going to law school.
Whoa,
That's like
wow.
That's like being
Law
a doctor.
school?
Yeah.
You co-sign law
So
school?
now we're not friends anymore. She hasn't paid her. So it went into default.
Wow.
Who then I become accountable for
Yeah.
the thing. She's not studying law, from what I know of her. This is like somebody I grew up with, so I don't, Anyway, so she, so I have two choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can pay it off and then sue her, I guess, or I have to, or I could slow pay and then hopefully she pays. But But I have to watch because if she doesn't pay, then it affects my credit if it goes into like.
Yeah, there's really no way to get rid of student loans. Like not even in bankruptcy.
So you can't even. So normally, if you're like on hard times, you could call and say, "Hey, I'll make a deal with you. It's been so many years. Can I get a what is that called?
Deferment?
Yeah, deferment. You could do that. I can't do that because I've been paying her student loan regularly.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't want it to mess up my credit.
Yeah,
Wow.
So I'm not willing to
What's the
ruin-
end date of the payments?
Forever. I don't know. For the rest of my life. I don't
Never
know.
worry.
Never worry.
How long have you been paying it?
I could pay it off, right? It's not that. I've been paying it since, I don't know, years. But we have it on the minimal amount because I don't want to be stuck. So I'm paying like the minimum on whatever, which is probably
tough.
means I've probably paid more over the years than I
We need
needed
to.
to.
Have Angie on Earn Your Leisure.
Can you? Yes.
So
My
cautionary
number. So
tale.
my number one advice is do not co-sign for people because it's unless it's like your child or somebody that you're really willing to lie on the sword for.
Yeah.
Chances are, if they need you, it's because they can't.
That's a first. Like I thought you like I've heard the stories of like I co-signed for my girlfriend's car and we broke up. Like you hear those type of stories.
Yes.
I never heard law school. That's pretty
That's
pretty
different.
interesting. That's
different. Good friend.
I feel like
prayers up for Angie. Prayers up. Prayers up for Angie.
Prayers up.
Yeah.
So we
Call Biden.
Am I stumping you? Do you have no advice for me?
Call Joe.
Call Joe Biden.
You know him?
I don't know him. No, I don't know the guy.
Get him on speed dial, please.
Please,
Nah,
Joe.
you know what? Somebody's gonna be listening right now and they're gonna figure out a solution for you. They're gonna hit us. and
You
we're gonna-
guys don't have a solution for me?
That's tough. Like you co-sign and you've been paying it. Like that's
Right, so I can't make it lower because they're like, no, there's no problem with this account. This account is up to date, and we're making money off of you.
Can't beat the feds. They're really like there's nothing you can do with student loans. Like that's the crazy thing.
So I
about
should just
it.
pay the whole thing, probably.
Probably
at this point. Yeah. You know,
I
we
don't
should find the
I don't
phone.
see how you can get out of that one. I'm not
And tell
sure.
her she gotta pay.
Yeah.
I expected more from you guys.
I'm sorry.
I feel slightly disappointed in my.
I gotta.
This is not your field. This is not your area.
Well, let's talk about the top 5 Angie
we
episodes.
got a phone and a friend.
Switch the topic.
Phone a friend.
Lifeline.
Phone a friend.
Yes.
I'm gonna come on your show. We're gonna figure this out
Yes.
together. Can we
By
do
the
this?
time that people hear this, there'll be a solution.
There could be a whole episode about just co-signing.
No,
No,
that's a fact.
That's a
We
fact.
have somebody called student loan doctor. Shout out to Sonia who specializes in student loans. So I'm gonna call her after this and
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if she knows.
That's the
any magic
perfect
tricks.
person, bro.
Yep.
This guy's always
Sonia.
thinking.
He always got somebody.
He's always calling somebody.
So what do people need to know? What's down the line? I mean, you are clearly calculated guys, so you probably have a
Well, we got a lot.
long-term plan here.
We got a lot of stuff planned for New York City this year. Fashion Week.
You hitting these Fashion Week streets?
No, we're actually doing a show at Fashion Week.
What do you mean? Oh, for the merch?
It's an
Well,
experience. It's an experience.
Earn your leisure
Language.
experience.
Yeah, language.
Love that.
Experience.
Yeah, we teamed up with United
Sorry,
Masters.
sorry.
We teamed up with United Masters, and we're curating it's going to be probably the
I
most
want to come. When is it?
tomorrow.
Oh shit! Never mind. Have an amazing event. I can't. You waited last minute. I don't do that. You can't. Come on.
No.
You gonna be out of town?
No, but I would.
So what's
We
the?
can talk about it later.
Okay.
Tomorrow is tough. I'm just saying. I got.
Tomorrow's a tough one. Okay.
But
We
we
got some other events that
It's
you-
gonna be a night to remember.
I
But,
would definitely love to come to your event.
Okay.
Madison Square Garden. On
Wow.
11/27. We doing Hulu. And we have a show called Market Monday. Shout out to Ian.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very, very big for us. Last year we did the Apollo. Sold that out on Black Friday. So this is going to become a tradition on Black Friday. We couldn't get MSG on Black Friday this year, so we had to get to Sunday. So live show. But our shows are vibes. Like it's not like a boring seminar. Like it's vibes. Like we bring performers out. We have it's a whole
Edutainment.
experience. So
Like KRS said.
yeah,
Yep.
that's something that's really, really big for us. So I encourage everybody to come. Like if you have never seen us live, we're like artists at this point. So if you've never seen a live show, you're doing yourself.
I feel like
a
you need more
tremendous-
chains, like a few more.
He doesn't have a chain. He's not in the
I know.
chain.
You're not into chains.
I gotta have some level of conservative.
Okay.
he wears the chains.
Yeah.
But and then we
I got
do
the family
and then we
chain.
go to London.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
then we go to London.
Yeah.
We had Invest Fest in Atlanta that was really, really big. So
Wow.
we're doing Invest Fest Europe in London on Halloween, and that's going to be really big as well. So
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
London's an incredible place.
We love it there. I love it.
and
I
we're
love
doing it
it.
at Royal Albert Hall for anybody that knows London. So Royal Albert Hall is probably the most prestigious venue in the UK.
Uh-huh.
Like a lot of artists can't get Royal Albert Hall. Like it's very, very prestigious. how we got that was we did a networking event in London in February, just to kind of test the waters because we really wasn't sure how hot we was out there. So there's this #1 club called Tape. Shout out to Tape London, and they were big fans of the show. So they let us use the club for a networking event. The club holds 300 people, so we put the RSVP link out there. Long story short,
it went crazy.
2,500 people came.
Wow!
So it was 2,200 people in the streets of London. So they were so thrown off; they had never seen anything like that ever. So they like, yo, y'all should come back and do an event. And that's how Royal Albert Hall came.
Wow.
So.
Where do people find out? What is the hub, the easy hub to go?
EarnYourLeisure.com.
There it is.
Everything.
You can get tickets to MSG. You can get tickets to London and all the information right there. EarnYourLeisure.com.
Yeah.
So dope.
We'll be in a bunch of cities too. So we'll be in Chicago in a few weeks. And we got Art Basel too. So last year we did an activation at Art Basel. We had Khaled. We had Sean there with us.
That was dope.
That was incredible.
Yeah,
so we'll be back at Art Basel as well. So Miami, you'll see us. UK, you'll see us. And obviously New York City.
I would definitely
that's
see
big
you
time.
at Art Basel. I think I'm gonna do some podcasting from Art Basel.
Oh yeah.
Oh, perfect,
yeah,
perfect.
So. Cause y'all have to come to mine.
Yeah,
yes.
You were in.
Just wait on the invite.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we were gonna meet in at Essence Fest. I think you were shooting something.
I did Drink Champs.
Yeah,
at Essence Fest.
he was out there, and we were supposed to make it out there, but the weather was crazy up here. It was like ridiculous.
Pass will cross when they're supposed to.
Yeah,
we definitely gotta do that. But congrats on everything. It was so amazing to finally connect with y'all.
I appreciate this.
Thank you so much.
Anything you want the people to know before a parting word for people?
Nah. Once again,
don't co-sign. Mine is don't co-sign for your friends on anything ever.
Rule number 1.
Yes.
Don't ever do that.
Do you have something for them as well? Each of you.
Yeah.
Leave them with a jewel.
Leave them with a jewel?
Yeah.
Go. What's a jewel?
My favorite jewel is plan for the future because you're going to be older a lot longer than you're going to be younger.
Shout out to Chic Loose.
Shout out to the Locks. That is, it sounds like a cliche rhyme, but that's probably the most powerful thing I've ever heard.
Plan for the future.
Because you're going to be older a lot longer than you're going to be younger.
That's on money, power,
respect. So most people will wait till they're 30 years old to start planning for the future when you could do it at 18, 19. You got to even plan for your kids' future at 7 years old, make them employees under your company and pay them as a tax write-off. For yourself and a tax-free for them. So there's so many things that you can do. So plan for the future. You're going to be older a lot longer than you'll be younger. And I see people all the time like, I'm only 23. I'm only 25. Nah, bro, I know 23-year-old millionaires. I know 25-year-old millionaires. No excuse.
Get to it.
Plan now.
And I would just say, just always think bigger. Like, we started a few years ago, just a couple iPhones, and now we're doing shows all over the world. So never limit yourself. Always think bigger, scale up. That's what Steve Harvey told us. And that's what Robert Smith told him. So that's what I would tell everybody else. Just scale up. Whatever you're doing, just think about how you can do it. That's what Rick Ross told us too. Think about how you can do it 10 times bigger. So that's
bars.
And most importantly, thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, man.
This is a moment.
This is dope for us. Because like I said, growing up, and we're big fans of the music, hip hop. So we listen to you, and you played a major part in the culture of not just New York City, but hip hop in general. So this is something that's very important for us. So thank you for inviting us.
I love that.
It.
Thank you so much, man.
We appreciate you so much.
Listen, with enthusiasm. Can we have a one-time? Troy and Rashad, Earn Your Leisure.
I appreciate y'all.
5.1.